blob of slamming. Do it so that you preserve some dynamics, but you get it loud enough to compete. All right, next up and last up is Ray Fu. He said, "It's my third version. Please let me know what you think." All right, great. Jeff is asking whether I got paid on this test sections. No, you just do it for free to get it. It's just what you do. So that's the real world. That's the professional world. You want a big album? This was 12 songs and it was well paid. So I want to, with an amazing, amazing artist. You want the gig? You do it. You do it on spec. You know? I like this, Ray. It's definitely a little bit more indie. The snare comes in and out. I think the snare can come up a dB. I like the kind of general plappy SSL sound you've got going. The kind of plap. And all my mind has slipped away from me. The low end is definitely pumping. I don't know if it's on a parallel or I don't know what's going on with the bass itself. But the mix kind of goes, whoa, whoa. I'm exaggerating for effect, obviously, but it kind of pumps every time the low end comes in. One of the things I find that sometimes when I'm sitting there, I'm mixing bass, is if you sit there and you compress it and you get it like really controlled and you love it, when you get sections like this, where there's a lot of space, you hit that thing, the initial attack sucks down too fast, and then the back end comes up, so you kind of get this, so you get this waveform that sucks up louder like this. So you get this boom, boom, and you've got to be careful because you're not hearing it on a fast section on an eighth note, da 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 da. It'll just be like bum 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 bum, and it might sit perfectly, but on those bar long notes you'll get da-um, da-um, and I think that's what we're hearing a little bit of here. It's like boom. Trust me, I'm exaggerating for effect. It's not terrible, but I think it needs a bit of control. And with a section like this, honestly, if your mix is really, really close and you don't want to have to go back in and rebalance all of your compression and all of the EQ and the way everything's hitting, just automate. Just go to the very end, and if it sounds like it's building up and there's like 4 or 5 notes doing it, just draw down the automation to compensate. Use your ears. Don't be afraid to do automation. I really do think that we are getting, as a human species and as a bunch of producers, engineers, and mixers, we're getting lazy. We are. I've sat in mixes with Mark Ender on a flying fader console, an SSL, maybe 10 years ago, and across the whole console, faders were doing this. They were just dancing beautifully. And he had bus compression going on. He had individual compression going on every channel. He had parallels, but he still was doing a lot of automation. And his mixes sound phenomenal. Go and listen to Hey Soul Sister. It's one of the greatest mixes ever. Go and listen to How to Save a Life, the Fray song. It's an amazing mix. He's a great, great mixer. All right. Ray, that was wonderful. That would be really, the main thing I would do. I feel like the bass is loud and it has that little uncontrollability. So I would look at the compressor, and I would also look at, like I said, maybe drawing in some automation if you don't want to restack everything. Because that's the reality. Is like, I get asked this question a lot as well. Because when I do mix breakdowns, I'll have multiple EQs and compressors and DSs and stuff like that. And people will go like, why don't you just do it all on one plugin that has all those things? Well, because it's a relationship. The way that one plugin works with another to another. But most importantly, I'm not going to restack and rebuild my whole sound if I just want to brighten it at the very end. Why would I go back to my first plugin and brighten it and then destroy the relationship between the de-esser and the compressor and everything else? If you have to put some automation at the tail end or another EQ at the tail end, who cares? Because all that matters is the results. So sometimes when you open a session that has 15 plugins that seem unnecessary, it might just be because they're doing a slight cut or a slight boost. It's not about like I don't always judge a mix because they used a lot of plugins or a least amount of plugins. I think when we as mixers say they use too much plugins, I think what we mean is not necessarily the number of plugins, but doing too much to the sound. Because what I'm saying is I've got a vocal which soloed with no plugins on it sounds beautiful, sounds in my face, I love it. When I put it in the track, it sinks in a little bit too much. So I have to start boosting high end that soloed sounds too bright. But in the track, sounds like it's competing with the other high end and sticks its head out just enough. These are the things that are important to remember. So sometimes when people are putting 50 plugins on there, they're doing great things by boosting and cutting lightly. Other times, they're just lost at sea and they just keep trying things. And the end result is so unbelievably different to the initial one. My niece, Sarah Wallace, is on there. Say hello to Sarah, everybody. Hi, Sarah. All right, so yes, it's Thursday. We're filming on Thursday for Friday. Hope you all had a marvelous time delving into Feedback Friday. Thank you ever so much for everybody that watched. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. Thank you all so much, ever so much for tuning in on Feedback Friday. I hope those of you that enjoyed the last 4 or 5 mixes that were live, everybody's saying hi to Sarah there. Keep saying hi. Thank you ever so much. Have a marvelous time, Feedback Fridays. Thank you, Academy members. See you all again very, very soon.